Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about something that silently runs the show in most people's spiritual journey, but it's rarely questioned. It's the mindset of us versus them. This mindset hides underneath so many of our thoughts, beliefs, and reactions, even after awakening. And unless you really look at it, it keeps you trapped in the illusion of separation. We're not here to condemn, to shame, or to make anyone feel wrong. In fact, this whole video is about stepping out of right and wrong entirely. We're here to explore what happens when we stop dividing life into sides, into enemies and allies, and start seeing everything as part of the whole. That doesn't mean liking everything. That doesn't mean agreeing. It means stepping into the deeper dimension where everything is allowed to exist because it already does. So let's dive into what us versus them really is, why it shows up, and how letting it go can transform your entire relationship with life, with awakening, and with your own being. The us versus them energy is the foundation of the ego. It's how the ego survives. By comparison, by separation, by creating an identity through opposition. It shows up in subtle ways. We are awake, they are asleep. We are spiritual, they are materialistic. We are the light workers, they are the lost ones. We are conscious, they are toxic. This language might sound empowering at first, but what it does is feed the illusion of separation. It creates a spiritual hierarchy. It makes people feel more important, more special, and more pure than others. That is ego. No matter how light-filled it sounds, it's still ego. True awakening doesn't flatter you. It humbles you. It shows you that the person you disliked, the system you hated, the pain you rejected, it's all part of the one. The same awareness that looks out through your eyes is looking out through theirs. Even if their conditioning is different, even if their path is different, even if they are deeply asleep to it. The ego is clever. Once it realizes you're no longer identified with the old roles, it tries to latch on to the new ones. Now you're awakened. Now you're high vibrational. Now you're beyond duality. But if there's still a sense of superiority, you've just created a new ego out of spiritual language. The real work of awakening is destroying that illusion altogether, not just once, over and over, because awakening is not a one-time moment. It's a continual dying to identity, a surrender to what is, a melting into reality as it is, without resistance, without commentary. And that means seeing even the things you don't like as part of the totality, as movements of the same ocean. Sometimes the us versus them energy shows up in more subtle spiritual forms, like trying to energetically fight evil or darkness using what's called white magic. It may sound noble, but it's often just another way the ego creates a battle, casting one side as good and the other as bad. Non-duality doesn't ask you to ignore harmful energy, but it also doesn't ask you to fight it from a place of division. You can still protect yourself. You can still walk away. But do it with clarity, not conflict. With presence, not resistance. You're not at war. You're simply aware. When you begin to see through non-dual awareness, something radical happens. You stop needing to judge things. You stop needing to change people. You stop needing to argue with reality. This doesn't make you passive. It actually makes you deeply clear and deeply present. You can still say no to abuse. You can still walk away from what doesn't serve, but you do it without turning it into an enemy. you begin to relate to the world with a kind of grounded openness, a compassion without preference. You see that even what the mind labels as dark or evil is still appearing in the One. And in that seeing, your heart softens, your fight ends. This is the death of us versus them, not by force, not by suppressing your anger, but by recognizing that every them is just a version of us that hasn't been recognized yet. Sure. So what does it look like to live from this place of wholeness? It means you walk through the world undefended. You're no longer fighting to be seen or heard or validated. You're no longer trying to wake people up. You're just present. You're just here. You're just allowing reality to move through you without needing to control it. And when you meet someone who is still lost in ego, still asleep, still playing us versus them, you don't try to change them. You just see the One playing that role for now. And in that seeing, your presence becomes a silent transmission, a kind of love that has no opposite. This is what the ancient teachers pointed to. This is what the mystics meant when they said, "Everything is God." Not in a fluffy, sentimental way, but in the most radical, direct, unfiltered way possible. So, if you're on the spiritual path and you notice this us versus them energy showing up, don't judge it. Just notice it. Recognize it as another movement of ego. Let it dissolve in the light of awareness. Let yourself soften. Let yourself include everything, even the people you don't agree with, even the systems you think are broken, even the parts of yourself you've rejected. This is real surrender. This is real awakening, not to a better version of the world, but to the world as it is, now, messy, complex, full of contrast, and yet somehow perfect in its unfolding. Thanks for watching. I hope this message touched something deeper in you. If it did, feel free to share it with someone who might need it too. Until next time, stay open, stay soft, and stay free.